Hello everyone, so this is for section 10.5 for Algebra 2, and as you guys can see there are hyperbolas, and again it's going to look like that there's a whole bunch of different vocabulary that goes with it, but I'm definitely going to clean that up for you and get you going in the right direction. Some words you should recognize are going to be, I don't know why the pen isn't letting me draw on this, but oh, it is, okay. Is a vertex, a focus. Now there's going to be some different pieces of vocabulary. These here, these two things here, are asymptotes. Asymptotes. There's more than one, so plural. Each one is an asymptote. It's a line that a curve, as it comes along, will start to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to, but never actually touch. So it's going to be like a fence or a guide rail that this graph, is, as it heads out, is going to continue to get closer and closer to, but like I said, never actually touch. It gets asymptotically close, which means it continues to get closer but never actually touch. Okay. Some differences in the formulas. First off, notice some open up and down and some open side to side. It's both pieces. This is one entire graph. It's not like the parabola where you had one piece. No, it's two pieces. Okay, not one, but two pieces. Both pieces are a part of the graph. The formulas are basically identical to the ellipse, except it's a minus here rather than a plus. Now, I said basically the same because positionally, notice the x and the y switch. I don't need you to focus so much on their switching, and I'll talk about what of this you need to focus on. The formula to get the value of c, so you can get the foci, is different than it is for an ellipse. An ellipse was a squared minus b squared. This is a squared plus b squared. The one for the ellipse, this was a plus and this was a minus. Well, this one's a minus and that one's a plus. So the hardest part, I think, with the formulas is going to remembering which one's the ellipse, which one's the hyperbola. That's something you're just going to have to memorize. I don't really have any tricks for you on how to do that. The subtraction's a hyperbola. If it was plus, then it would be an ellipse. You're just going to have to memorize that. And then the formula to find c is always opposite of whatever this number is. Okay? So, here goes. Another thing to point out is the foci. Remember on a parabola, you had a vertex and then the foci. So this was vertex and then foci. Similar idea, except it's not a parabola, it's a hyperbola. But this point is the vertex. The focus is inside it. So you can have two of them. So your focus can't be back here. It's got to be inside it. Okay, guys, sorry for the interruption. How to find the asymptotes is going to be pretty straightforward. It's actually going to be easy to find. You're not going to have to worry about them. Like I was saying about the foci can't be inside. They have to be outside. So in the opening of the hyperbola. So if it's opening up, one's got to be inside it there, one's got to be inside it there. Okay? So let's go and do some. Like an ellipse, whatever the square root of this number is how far you're going to go in the y direction because it's associated with the y. Square root of that is how far you're going in the x direction. Okay? Now, this is going to make a box, and the box is not a part of your graph. It's not a part of the answer. Okay? I'm just going to draw these in just to help you see it. Okay? Because that's, if you looked at the previous page, you'd have seen that they had these boxes. And the diagonals, and this is going to be really hard for me to do on this because I don't have a ruler. The diagonals are the asymptotes. Okay, and that's going to be the same for all of these. So I can go ahead and put those on. So this is going to be 5 in the x, 4 in the y. And again, that's going to define a box. The box is not a part of the graph. You don't have to do them dashed if you don't want to. You can do it just really light, but just so you don't make it heavy and dark like your answer, because then that's implying that it's actually a part of the graph, and it's not. So this is defining your asymptotes. Sorry, I gotta move my hand. Let's see. Whoa, go away. Okay, if you want, I'll jump to these next two and do those other two as long as we're on a roll. So it'll be 5 units in the y, because the square of that, 3 units in the x. Again, it's going to make the box, and we'll get the asymptotes on there. And the asymptotes. And it's also finding for you the vertices. I haven't pointed out which ones are the vertices yet, but it's also it's multi-purpose. It's doing several things for you. That last line is pretty bad. Okay, 4 units in the x, and only 2 units in the y. So this one's a pretty narrow one this way. And then go away. I don't want that. Go away. It's trying to open up and do that keyboard thing. I don't want it. Okay. Okay. Now to go back to this side. Whatever the variable is that either comes first, or I'm going to call it the positive piece, not the piece that's being subtracted. This is the direction that it's going to open. So it's going to open in the y direction. Let me change color here. So, and it's got to go, this is going to be your vertex. It's automatically going to tell you this one's the vertex, and so is this one. That it's opening in this direction because that's the variable that comes first. So it's going to hug the asymptote, it's going to come through here, go through the vertex, and head out. And I crossed it, and I shouldn't have crossed it. Make sure you're not drawing them like a V. They're not a V. And remember that it's got both pieces. It's going to go through there, turn, and come along this one. Okay? Because it's opening up and down, your foci is going to be up here and down here. So when you calculate it, you know which direction the foci is going to be in. Okay? But notice, to get the box and to get the asymptotes, we didn't care which way it was going. We just went 5 units in the y, 4 units in the x, drew the box, drew the diagonals. Then I worried about that it's opening in the y direction. To get the vertices, it's this one and this one. So it would be 0, 5, and 0, -5. Then the foci have to be in this direction, and the foci this time is you're going to add the two things together. So it's going to be c squared is 25 plus 16, which is 41, and then you have to square root this stuff to get it, and the square root of 41. Okay, when you go to write the foci, you have to give the exact value. Oops. 0 negative square root of 41. But when you go to graph it, by all means use the decimal approximation for it. And square root of 41 is about 6.4. So 6.4 units up is going to be one foci, and 6.4 units down is the other one. So then they're the foci. Okay? So you've graphed the foci on the graph. All right. This one, x came first, so it's going to open in the x direction. It's going to open left to right. So I drew the box without giving a care to which way it was opening, and drew the asymptotes without caring which way it was opening. Now look at it and go, x comes first, so that means this point is your vertex. Okay? That was the vertex if the y came first, but x comes first, so this is the vertex, and that's going to be the vertex. So you come hugging along. It's making it look pretty sloppy. I apologize for that. Okay, so here goes. The vertices are going to be on the x-axis, so this time it's going to be 5, 0, and -5, 0. And your foci, it's the same two numbers as this previous one. It's just that the x came first. So you're still going to get c as the square root of 41 is 6.4, but this time it's in the x direction rather than being in the y direction. So square root of 41, 0, and negative square root of 41, 0. Okay, so let's go on to these ones. The y comes first, so it's opening in the y direction. Hug the asymptote, come down, go through the vertex, and head on out. opening in the y, so head along the asymptote, come over, go through the vertice, and head on out. Okay, so the vertices are 0, 5, 0, -5. The foci, you're going to add 25 plus 9, square root it, which gives you square root of 34. So to write the exact value, it's going to be 0 square root of 34, 0 negative square root of 34. Okay, so to plot it, you need a decimal approximation for it. So about, let's see, what did I figure out? 5.8. Okay, so you go about 5.8 units up and put your foci. Okay, this one, the x comes first, so it's opening in the x direction. So come through, go through your vertex, head on out along your asymptote. Whoops. Whoops, that one's just awful. I should erase that. Let's try again. That one's just awful. Okay guys, sorry for the interruption. Then finishing this one, coming along, going through that vertex, heading out this way. So to find the vertices, they're on the x-axis, so they're going to be 4, 0, sorry that's a 4, and -4, 0. And the foci, so that's going to be 16 plus 4 is the square root of 20, so then that's going to be 2 square roots of 5, and they're on the x-axis, so they're going to be 2 square roots of 5. Oops, I don't know why I put the comma there. Yikes. 2 square roots of 5, 0, and -2 square roots of 5, 0, and that's about 4.5. So to plot the point of the foci, there they are. Okay. Now to ID the vertices, this is just like the ones you did on the ellipses. We're going to divide everything by 36 to get that to be a 1. So you've got x squared. If you want to put it over 1, you can do that. Y squared over 36 is equal to 1. You draw your box. So this is going to be, if I just sketch it for you quick, you can go 6 units up, 6 units down, 1 right, 1 left. Your box is there. Then you got your diagonals that run through it. Oh my gosh, that's awful. But x comes first, so it's opening in the x direction. If it's opening in the x direction, then your vertices are going to be 1 unit left and right. So your vertices are going to be at 1, 0 and -1, 0. And then your foci are also going to be in the same direction, and you're going to add those together, so they're going to be the square root of 37, 0, and negative square root of 37, 0. Okay, this one's going to open in the y direction because the y comes first. So your vertices are going to be 12 units up and down. So it's going to be 0, 12, and 0, -12. Because that's the direction, the y direction are your vertices. Add these together, and you get the square root of 180, and then you simplify that, and you get 6 square roots of 5. So the foci are going to be in the same direction. So they're going to be 0, 6 square roots of 5, and 0, -6 square roots of 5. Okay? This one, it's the same numbers, but it's opening in the x direction. So these numbers are going to be flipped. 12, 0, -12, 0. And the foci, same thing. You've already got the number because you've already added them together and done it. Whoops. 6 square roots of 5, 0. And -6, whoops, square root of 5, 0. Okay? And I think that's it. Yep. There you go.